we'll look into a scenario in which the three major denominations of Christianity go to war. Because, well, look, they have all the strong nations, although they kind of get just France. There's the Orthodox hit the most, but they also have the least countries, least people, I believe. Most people in these countries, yeah. And there's people here, but they get the world's strongest nation, the world's clown, basically. Well, let's start it. And well, yeah. I'll get the Orthodox started, because they have Russia. Yeah, they have Russia. And Russia's aggressive and imperialist. We all know that. Well, maybe they're not. That could just be Western propaganda. But they start their offensive into Lithuania, as they start another offensive into Latvia and Estonia. With them taking advantage of this situation they have, the Catholics, because they realize, yes, we got the best situation. We surround them on three fronts, literally. And Ireland, just because they're being Ireland, decide to conquer Northern Ireland. Well, yeah, France starts an offensive against them, with Poland saying, this is what you get, as they start an offensive. And even Austria starts an offensive, and Czechia, and Italy. Quickly, this area probably revolted to their side. Nothing important. And well, they end up having their first country capitulate on their team, Germany, as these nations occupy all the way to there. As the Orthodox nations are having fun, I assume, as they're conquering Poland, Hungary, Croatia, and Slovakia. And let's see what they're doing over here. Well, what a big surprise. They're invading Mexico. Trump must be some happy that this is happening in this video. Like, he pretends to be. J.D. Vance probably deserted and switched sides. Yeah, that's funny to say. Well, Mexico has no chance of winning. So all these nations just have to send as much manpower as they can. Maybe they can overcome it. Maybe they'll just have some revolts happen. And while no one's looking, yes, the Protestant nations, decide to land over here against Russia. And they'll probably freeze to death, but that's not a big deal. They can just send more people. That's how war is fought. Just one man after another. And they land over here as they take over the Siberian part of Russia. Yeah, who knew they would try this? And well, yeah, this nation isn't having much fun. Russia is not having fun. And well, on this front, they're getting cakewalked, as this becomes the front line quickly as they advance here like this. In the south, they keep advancing north. And then they get here and they decide to go around the coast, getting rid of Russia's access to the Pacific Ocean. It's probably their last area that they can actually get warm water. And well, a defensive is set up here, which gives them an idea here. The Catholics decide their best bet is to land in the southern part of Russia. Not Russia, and Greece. They're too decentralized. And they launch a rebellion. Yes, they fund a rebellion in Quebec. Because that's what Quebec is like. They just need to be different, which is good. And they manage revolts wherever they can. But most areas don't have enough to revolt, enough people to revolt. They do have some. And while the Quebec Rebellion breaks out, But as quick as it started, it's took down. Yeah. Quebec, even in a religious war, you still can't make yourself independent. I feel bad, kind of. Let's just make them upset a bit, just for fun. Yes, we'll take over Guyana and Suriname. Because I'm going to call it Suriname, even though it's probably Suriname, but who cares? Suriname's a better name. And well, then the green team, the Protestant team, gets angry. Why do you do that to our countries? We'll show you a lesson as they land in the Philippines. And yeah. But they can't take the Vatican. They better not. They better not. Oh wait, they're too strong to not. That's sad. Well, as long as they can make some use of this front. As they send in troops knowing this area will fall apart. It's just a matter of who can take enough to make it fall in their favor. With Nigeria getting occupied. And also over here. Well, Cameroon is like, yeah, for the Pope. Kind of like how the communists are, except not for that cause. As Nigeria crumbles. But, you know what? Ethiopia decides to join them, even though technically they're not. Be any of them, I don't even know. Just going to assume that one. And well, with Rwanda managing to do this. And then, when Tanzania enters, it ends up more like this. But South Africa decides to move its troops in from here. And they link up with these forces. With Uganda falling, which is not great. And Kenya falling. So they decide to launch an invasion of Britain. And well, somehow it actually works out. I don't know how they managed to succeed. And now they land into the Nordics. As Europe just needs a victory, they decide. And well, they do this. As they plan to still take over Europe. With Finland being too late for them to get all of it. As it was like this once they started invading. And then they invade here. And now all they have left to do is to take over Russia. Oh, as they move a lot of troops to the front. These nations here aren't ready for it. Well, they successfully occupy these two nations and occupy the rest of this nation. As they go on to occupy Ukraine and Belarus, with them successfully having a full-on front, with them getting to Kiev and taking it. And then in Bulgaria, they kind of took over the nation. Same with Romania. With Ukraine crumbling to their might, the Catholic might, yes, Catholicism may take over. And well, they take St. Petersburg. And then they move in to get Volgorod. And then as this area of the front starts crumbling, starts going good. And then they manage to get the country Georgia to collapse and Armenia. And then they move in and take Moscow rather quickly. And then they start rebellions to be with them. With quickly, they manage to occupy this much land. And they continue. Them knowing they have to get to at least the Ural Mountains before the fronts meet. With all the might being put in to advance these fronts as far as they can go. By both sides. With the Orthodox falling. First, with the Catholics and Protestants taking advantage of with a meeting past the Ural Mountains. And then they both change it to occupations. Oh wait, I didn't select the right color. Apparently, how would I use multiple different colors? You may be asking. I don't know. That's my answer. Final answer, I don't know. They should kinda are in trouble. The Catholic nations are in trouble. They decided to occupy as much as they can. Now let's go to the Mexico front. Well, it just got worse. It's only because of America they're able to win. Let's just be honest. Which in America is still not dominated, I don't think, by them. Wait, they could be. And that wouldn't be great, but that's not the main priority now. The main priority is not to take over South America in one fall swoop. As they land on the Panama Canal and make an offensive north, the Mexico front that was being held back ends up falling. Well, yeah, Catholicism is in trouble now, which is not good for them. And now they're managing to launch an offensive over here. They're in trouble. And they also start taking back what was occupied, which is the Nordics. Well, they end up in trouble. As their occupied areas are being changed for the better. No, not the better, for the worse. Yes, for the worse, I think. Definitely no bias there. Though I feel like it would be better if they won, just saying. No opinion. I probably made a full region angry, which isn't great. And them somehow getting their areas to free themselves, yes. A bunch of their areas are done with this. Suddenly, they all revolt. Well, somehow they all just came back. And yeah. Catholics probably could have won. As they start mass mobilization. But it's no match for the U.S. Army, yes. We're gone from calling them the Protestant, which they're supposed to be, to the U.S. Army, yay. As France surrenders? No, they don't. Why would they surrender? As their front collapses in Europe, both fronts, their chance of victory went to 0% rapidly. But even then, if we excluded America, it wouldn't end the same. We should have excluded America. That's what I think. Plus, America isn't one-sided. Well, I think the world must be falling apart here. Well, the African front collapses, and they switch to try to change what the areas they occupy are. And after that, there's these fall back. South America basically crumbles. there's a reason for one side's victory. And it has to do with how one side of this conflict ended. Basically, this nation did all the work. With a bit of help. See, that I don't think they had a chance of losing because of that. But in a variety of thoughts, the Catholics definitely won, even though the Protestants won. But I mean, that's it. And that's all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, but not until you subscribe. Bye, guys.